Hi, I'm Joel Persinger from Practical Defense Systems. Thank you very much for supporting the channel and for supporting my company. I really do appreciate it. If you would, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up if you like the video. What I've got to talk to you about today is kind of sad, honestly. It's a tragic tale about a guy who was killed in Atlanta, I think on Monday. 51-year-old security guard shot for no particular reason that I can determine other than somebody just wanted to rob him. Fortunately, they have, it looks like, caught the guy that did it, but that doesn't bring the guard back, unfortunately, and nothing I can do here is going to do that. What I can do is give you some tips and perhaps some training that might prevent this from happening to you. So I do feel it's important, first of all, to be respectful of the man who was murdered and his family, but at the same time, if something happens in the security industry that I can use to help educate you so that you stay safe and this doesn't happen to you, I think it really behooves me to do so. And that's what we're doing with this video right now, is trying to educate you a little bit so that you stay safe and what happened to this poor gentleman does not happen to you. With that in mind, I'm going to show you the video that the police released of the incident and explain it a little bit. And then I'm going to jump in the truck and we're going to go on a field trip so I can show you the steps you should take when parking your vehicle, when working, whatever you're doing along those lines, so that what happened to this 51-year-old man who was just trying to make some money on the side does not happen to you or me. So first, let's watch the police video. All right, you can see the security guard getting out of his car. First, he does notice the guy walking down the street coming up on him, but he doesn't appear to think he's a threat. So he ignores the guy, which is the fatal mistake, and begins to walk along the sidewalk going wherever he's going. And of course, he only takes 2 or 3 steps, and this guy shoots him in the back of the head and then proceeds to take whatever belongings he has, his gun, his wallet, whatever else, and rob the guy. Now, notice also the car on the bottom left there. I think that becomes pretty important at some point. And the gentleman, if you want to call him that, seated on the sidewalk, who obviously had to hear the gun go off and apparently does not care. All right, criminal takes what he takes after killing the guard and walks away without a care in the world. It is kind of funny that he drops whatever it is at some point and has to pick it back up again. All right, this is going to skip forward a little bit, and you're going to see that the car on the left is gone, and apparently whoever drove away didn't bother to call the police or an ambulance or anything else. And then this guy who witnessed it all walks by, looks, shakes his head, and then just keeps right on going without offering any assistance or even attempting to do so at all. And then, of course, there are more people coming around the corner. Do you think that they do anything to help this guy who's been murdered? No, of course not. You would think they would, but they don't. Instead, they look and go, hey, dead guy laying on the floor. Gee, that's kind of cool. Let me step over him here and see if he's got something I can steal. And, of course, a girl comes around the corner. I guess she's part of this little crew. They gather whatever they can gather off the guy and go and look at it, and that's it. They just walk away without a care in the world, without doing anything to help this 51-year-old gentleman who's been brutally murdered for no reason whatsoever because he took a part-time job to try to make a little extra money. I find that incredibly appalling. Don't get me started. But in any case, I'm at least heartened by the fact that most people are not the miserable people that these people obviously are. And certainly that includes the guard who was killed. Just an honest guy trying to make a living. These people all need to go to jail and stay there for a very long time, in my opinion. As I said, a very tragic event. And it's quite a wake-up call about humanity or certain sections of it in general. But nevertheless, let me jump in the truck here real quick and take you on a little field trip. I'm going to show you how to park your car, where to park your car, how to enter it and exit it, and be very good at being aware of your surroundings so this doesn't happen to you. One of the first things you want to do is just keep an eye on the place. Make sure that you really see what you're driving into before you drive into it. If there's a building that you generally park next to, or maybe it's a building you protect, you want to drive around that building and really get a look at it before you get out of the vehicle. If you see anybody that looks hanky or odd, then you're not going to want to park. You're going to want to keep going, or maybe park in a different place. I would say the other thing is that a lot of times people will park in the same place repeatedly because we're creatures of habit, or because where you work has established a parking place for the security vehicle. Keep in mind, if you're in a security vehicle, you're generally driving a very distinctive vehicle and people can see what it is. Now today I brought my pickup because it's a school bus yellow pickup and it's a very distinctive vehicle, so I wanted to give you the same idea. Now I've asked these people if we can use their parking lot, and they were very nice. They've got a big parking lot here and there's a fence right in front of me. So what I'm going to do is pull up to the fence as if I were parking as normal people park and pulling up into it. And I'm going to show you why it's a benefit for you to back in rather than go straight in. So let's pull straight in. I'll show you 2 or 3 different ways to park here, and hopefully that will help you, okay? So we're going to pull straight in. There's a fence right in front of me, and you're going to be able to see that, hopefully. Hopefully you can see it. And then when we get out, I'll show you why this isn't the best approach. Okay, so let's go ahead and get out. So immediately you should be able to see that there's a fence, a chain link fence right here. So what that does is create a barrier where somebody's not likely to come at me from that direction because I have a fence or a berm or a wall or something on that side of the vehicle. There's a few problems with pulling in this way. Let me explain what those are, and then I'll flip the vehicle around so you can see what it looks like the other way. First of all, as I'm getting out of the vehicle, I may turn myself partially this way, but as I get out, I still have kind of a blind spot here initially, and then I don't when my feet finally hit the floor and I get turned around. The issue there is, since we just discussed, anybody who's going to come after me is going to come from this direction, is now I'm stuck. I'm imprisoned inside the door frame, and I'm caught by the door. And so this has happened before, where officers have gotten stuck in this position and had people just pound the tar out of them. You may remember that, I believe, from Ferguson, where Michael Brown just pounded that cop inside his car because he was stuck in this position. And that's happened before with other people. It's not unique to that situation. Whatever your belief about that situation is, that's not the point. I don't want to get political here. It's more just trying to keep you safe. So here, that's one issue. I think this also presents a problem when you're approaching the vehicle. So I'm going to step off camera here and walk back in again, and I'll show you what I mean. So as I approach the vehicle, you can see that my back is to the rear of the vehicle, and that's the direction back here that anybody's going to come at me from, and I don't have eyes in the back of my head regardless of what I've told my kids, okay? So even if I see the person from this point and I want to react, I now have a fence blocking me in and I have very little places to go. I can try to go around the vehicle, but depending on how closely I park to the fence, I may have problems with that. And although I could probably open the door to present a barrier for myself, it's not a very good one. More likely, I'm not going to see them if I'm not generally good at awareness, like this gentleman who was killed wasn't. I'm likely to just open the door this way and get hammered, shot, whatever, and find myself doing a face plant into the door. And now, even if I'm awake to try to fight back, I'm still stuck in this god-awful position where I don't have any good tactical positioning here. So this is the problem with pulling in straight. A lot of people think cops back up into these positions and back in because they want to get a quick out if they get a call for service. That's true, but it's also all this other stuff of being fully aware of their surroundings and being prepared in case somebody approaches them. Because when you're wearing a uniform and you're driving a distinctive vehicle that says security or law enforcement on it, you have to remember you are a target all the time. So be aware of that and make sure that you're being very aware of your surroundings. Now let's flip the truck around and I'll show you what it's like if you do it the other way. Now I've got the vehicle turned around. You can see the fence is actually back there now, and I've backed in this time. So now I know that behind me, there's much less chance that somebody's going to come up behind me while I'm backing the vehicle up, while I'm sitting here doing a report, while I'm getting out of the vehicle, whatever. And I can see in front of me, I have a panoramic view of what's coming toward me or toward the vehicle. That's a much better strategic place to be, and it's just a better tactic when it comes to how you're going to park your vehicle. So let me get back in, and as I get out, you can see that as I get out here, I've got the door between me and anybody that's coming this way, but I still maintain a full view of what's coming. So I can have the window up, it's just this one's really tinted. You wouldn't be able to see me if I did. Likewise, when I come back to the vehicle, I'm going to have to turn and see everything as I get back in. Let me show you that. As I come back to get the vehicle, I'm naturally going to turn this way because I got to get in the vehicle this way. And that gives me immediately, even as I turn, it gives me a peripheral view of what's coming. It gives me a full view of what's coming. And now I have an opportunity to get to a weapon or whatever, and I have the wedge of the door between me and whoever's coming. If they're coming at me with any kind of a weapon, if it's a gun, obviously the door is not going to stop a bullet, but it could. It gives me more protection than I would otherwise have because there is the motor for the window. There's all kinds of stuff inside the door that might stop or deflect around. I have a chance that something might help me there. Then if I'm wearing body armor, I also have a chance that in addition to that, my armor will stop whatever it is. But I also have, basically gives me a place to fight from. If it's a knife or some sort of bludgeon or whatever kind of weapon along those lines, a contact weapon or an edged weapon, this does give me quite a bit of protection. And now I'm not wedged in the door. I can push forward on it while I'm defending myself with my other hand or whatever I need to do. And once I get in the vehicle, if I can make it into the vehicle, then my exit, my escape is much faster by starting the vehicle, throwing it in drive and stepping on the gas. And I'm out of here. I don't have to get the mirror squared away and back up and all those other things. So where it is possible for you to take your vehicle and back it up against some sort of barrier, again, fence, berm, whatever, doesn't matter what it is, but some sort of barrier, even if it's a building, you're better off doing that. And I would say too, rather than parking in the same place all the time, make sure that you rotate where you park and make sure that you park in different places, different times. I don't know, but it seems to me that the gentleman who was shot in the video I showed you was actually, he was actually tracked, he was watched. That guy came around the corner at exactly the right time and went right at him. It strikes me that he knew that guy parked there. He was going after him. He was not just any random target, he was the target because he was an easy one. This stuff is not going to keep you safe 100%. Nothing's 100%, but what it does do is it makes you a more difficult target. And oftentimes criminals will take the path of least resistance. So if you present a more difficult target, if you're a challenge because of you use these kinds of strategies and tactics, then they're going to go get the guy down the street who doesn't use any of them, and it's bad for him, but it keeps you safe, so keep that in mind. Now, there are going to be times when you can't park in an environment like this, where you have to park in the middle of a parking lot. Well, there's one key thing I'll show you, so let's go do that. All right, I pulled into a mall parking lot. This mall is called Parkway Plaza. It's actually in the city of El Cajon. And there's a whole lot of parking places in here. So what I'm going to do is park in one, and then we'll get out and I'll explain where you might want to park if you can't find a situation where you have that kind of backstop behind the vehicle. So let's get out and I'll explain that for you real quick. All right, it's a little windy here, but I've shown you how to do this with a barrier behind you. Let me show you what to do when you're in a parking lot like this. As you can see, this parking lot's got a lot of space around it and not very much in the way of a wall that you could back up against or that you could get part of. I'm over here in front of this store. So let's say you're the security guard and you want to park someplace and you find that you really don't have a place like I showed you before to park, but you do have a parking lot like this. And perhaps some of the area of the parking lot is semi-vacant like this. Some of it, I'll point over here for you with the camera, you can see over there, is pretty busy. If you have a packed parking lot, but you have a little space where you can park that isn't packed, then go park there. It gives you some room to move and room to escape, and you can use your own vehicle as cover if you need to. And then when you park, as you'll notice I did with my truck here, hopefully you can see it in the camera, I pulled all the way through. I did not pull into a spot and park with my nose to the next car. I pulled all the way through so that my nose is facing out. And then when I approach the vehicle, I'm going to be very aware of my surroundings, and I'm going to approach it watching what's around me. If I see somebody coming up behind me, I'm going to use the vehicle. I'm going to walk around the vehicle until that hinky person is no longer in my face. So that way I don't have somebody walk up behind me and shoot me in the head like that poor gentleman did. Instead, I'm going to be very aware of my surroundings. Now, the other situation, if anything, is more ideal. I don't think any of these are ideal, obviously, but the other situation where you have something to back up against is better than this. But let's face it, we don't always have that. Sometimes we have to work with what we have. So if this is what you have, then park in an area where you have space, where you can actually get around, use the vehicle for cover, and where if you get in the vehicle, you can put it in drive and you can bail, you can get out of there, because that gets you away from the problem. Remember, one of the things I teach all the time is we need to know where cover and out are all the time. Where's my cover? Where's my out? If you're in a vehicle, your best cover that's going to stop a bullet is the engine block and the wheel wells. So it's your car. And your best out, if you're in your car, is your car, because it's going to go a lot faster than you can run. So if you can position yourself to be able to get in the car quickly and also know what's going on around you, you're much, much better off. I certainly hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has, please subscribe to the channel. There are a lot of these. I do try to do one a week, really, to try to train you better if I can. And if you wouldn't mind giving it a thumbs up, I'd appreciate that. It helps the channel grow. Thank you very much for all of your support. Have a wonderful week and be safe out there.